week, I'll lead you through a short practice for the hips. This is a good night hips practice. So we're releasing tension around the hips. Maybe you've had a long day sitting, standing, walking around. So it's just a short sequence to invite some gentle movement and release around the hips before going to bed. Let's get started. And for this practice, there's one optional prop, and that is a block. So if you normally use blocks in your practice, you might have them around, but you can also do this practice without any props. And then we're going to go straight into some movement. So bring yourself onto all fours. You could do this on hands and knees, or if your hands, your wrists are feeling maybe achy, tender now, you could also come down onto elbows. So those two options there. And then we start to circle the pelvis and the hips. Just keeping your back, your shoulders, your neck soft, and focusing on moving through the hips, so allowing both hips to find their natural circling movement. And then keeping everything else soft. If you get to a sticky point in the hips, you could go extra slow through that area. We can change the direction, so circling the opposite way. And check in with your breath. Now that we're moving, just check in if you are breathing. Notice where you're breathing in, where you're breathing out. Can we find ease in our breath as well? Let's do one more circle. And then bring yourself to center. And now if you are on your elbows, you could lift yourself onto the hands. And then bring your right leg out to the side. Find a place where you can have your right leg on the side without hurting in the hip, without hurting in the knee. And then start to rock back and forth. So shifting the weight towards the hands, shifting the weight down towards the left foot. And you decide how big this movement is. You might start to feel a bit of stretching in that right inner thigh. Feel free to adjust where that right leg is if needed. And you can let the right foot be free. It can move, it might lift off the floor. Let's do another round, rocking back and forth. And then bring yourself to center. Now we take the right leg and bring it all the way back behind the left leg and bend both knees. So you're bending the right knee behind the left knee. We're going to go into shoelace pose. So once you have the legs crossed, lean your pelvis back. So you're kind of sitting over the legs, over the shins, onto your pelvis. The knees might be on top of each other. They might be wider apart. Where do you feel that you can find a place to ground the pelvis down? The left hip might be a bit higher up. And then you can either stay upright. You might take hold of your feet and give a bit of pressure onto the soles of the feet with your thumbs, with your hands. Or if you feel like there's room to go forward into a forward bend, take a breath in, and as you exhale, you can start to lean forward, maybe stepping your hands further forward. If that feels still good, you can start to round the back, the neck more, but keeping the focus in that pelvic area. So maybe we're finding some stretching around the buttocks, the outside of the thighs, kind of the IT band area. Remember, if it's too much to lean forward, you can always stay upright. Take another breath in and out wherever you are. Send your breaths all the way down towards the hips. And then with the next breath, start to bring your back up if you are in a forward bend. And then we're going to lift ourselves back forward onto hands and take that right leg and bring it all the way around so that now right foot comes forward to your hands and we'll lean forward into a low lizard lunge. And now you might leave your left hand on the mat, or this is where you could bring a block under the left hand. We're going to inhale, reach the right arm behind us, twist out to the right. Exhale, send the pelvis back, reach your back, your right arm forward. Next in-breath again, twisting out to the right. And exhale, send the pelvis back, reaching back and arm forward. Couple more times. In-breath, opening. Exhalation, closing through the front. One more round. Inhale, follow your own breath. And exhale into that forward bend. Then once more, inhale, lean the pelvis forward. And bring both hands onto the mat. You can put the block aside. And then bring yourself back onto all fours. And see if you want to keep your legs closer together or open the knees wider apart, going into child's pose. So lean the pelvis back towards the feet. And you can lean head all the way down onto the mat. Or bring hands or arms under the head. And let the pelvis become heavy. Not pushing it down, but focusing on releasing through the buttocks, through the thighs, the front of the hips. Send a couple of breaths all the way down towards the hips, the lower back, the lower belly area. And then from that child's pose, bring yourself back onto all fours. And now we're going to extend the left leg out to the left side of the mat. And we go back to that rocking movement. So shifting the weight forward and back. And again, up to you how big that movement is. This side might be different. And remember that left foot can be free to lift off the mat, especially when you lean back. Opening maybe through that inner thigh on the left-hand side. And keeping the neck soft so your back, your neck, your head can follow the movement. Let's do one more round. And then bring yourself back to center. And we take that left leg and now bring the left leg behind the right, bending the knee. So left knee bent behind the right knee. And then leaning back, sitting over the shins, over the knees, into another shoelace pose. So now the right leg is on top. And again, you might bring some gentle pressure to the feet, the soles of the feet with your hands, with your thumbs, kind of massaging the feet. And we have the option to lean forward as well. So if you want, you could step hands in front of you, take a breath in, And then exhale, lean a bit further forward. See how that feels. And again, this side could be very different, so don't force yourself. At any point, you can come back to an upright pose if that feels better. Soften through the pelvis, through the hips, the thighs. Take another breath in and out. And then if you are in a forward bend, slowly help yourself up into a seat. And then lift yourself over the legs onto all fours. Release that crossing in the legs. And then bring yourself to lie down on your belly. So now allowing the fronts of the hips to just melt down onto the mat. And you choose if you want to stay here. You can keep your chest, your belly down, maybe lean onto your hands with your head. Or you might peel the chest off the mat. And then keep the weight on your forearms, your elbows, and that might just bring a bit more opening to the front side. So be mindful of the back bend, see how your back feels, but more focus on just kind of spreading, melting the front side of the pelvis, the fronts of the hips onto the mat. Legs could be wider apart as well. Just allowing that hip flexor line to maybe release if there's tightness there. And you can breathe all the way down towards the lower back, towards the belly. Take a couple more breaths in and out. And then after those couple of breaths, slowly release the chest down. And then help yourself up into a seat from lying down on the belly. Bring yourself into a seat, extending the right leg out to the side and bringing left leg into a half butterfly in front of you. And this is where you could use a block now. So if you want, you could bring a block somewhere on the inside of that right leg. And we're going to exhale, start to lean towards that right leg into a side bend. And the block could be a nice support for that right arm. Of course, you could also lean onto your leg. But if you feel that having something a bit higher up is nice, then you could lean your right elbow on the block and then lean head on to that right hand. So just trying to get maybe a bit to the inner thigh, the back of the thigh. And I'll suggest we'll just keep that left arm down, not stressing the shoulders too much. And just slowly leaning maybe a bit further down if you feel that there is space. Soften through the shoulders. Breathe all the way down towards the hips. Take another breath here. And then we'll keep the legs as they are. And from that side bend, as you exhale, start to round your back. So now leaning forward. And you could bring elbows to the mat. You could bring that block under the elbows to stay a bit higher up. You might walk hands further forward, even bring your head down onto the mat. Find your edge. And And maybe we're going a bit more to that inner thigh area, possibly on both sides. Let the out-breath soften through both legs, through both buttocks, through the hips. Take another breath or two in and out here. And then as you breathe in, start to lift yourself back up. You could step hands behind you, bend both knees, stepping feet on the mat, quite wide apart. And just swing the legs, swing the knees from side to side. Get a bit of rotation through both hips. Couple more swings, and then we'll do that side bend and forward bend, that half butterfly on the other side. So when you're ready, bring yourself to sit so that your left leg is out on the side. Just weighing your pelvis down. If you want to use a block, you can bring the block now to the inside of that left leg. And then breathing in and out, we start to lean over towards or kind of over that left leg again. The block might be quite nice under the left elbow, so then you could lean your head onto that left hand. I'll suggest we just keep that right arm somewhere behind the back, so not involving the shoulders too much. And breathing here. As you stay longer, you might sink deeper into the pose, but don't force it, and it's very fine if the second side is different. Send another breath down towards the hips, down towards the pelvis. And then with your next breath, start to round your back. So now leaning forward, you might take the block with you. Could be under your elbows, or maybe the block is under the head. If you want to go a bit further down, maybe the block is just supporting the head. Trying to keep the upper body soft as well, through the shoulders, through the neck, through the upper back. And it might be that the left foot toes are not pointing up to the ceiling. Don't force that rotation. It might be that the whole leg, the foot needs to turn inwards. If that feels right for you. Take another breath or two in and out here. Then again, slowly, with the next couple of breaths, bring yourself up into a seat. And then from that seat, bring yourself to lie down on your back. Time for the final pose. And you might extend the legs. You might bring the legs into a butterfly shape. If you want to still do a full butterfly, you could bring legs into a full butterfly as well. Or if it's better to keep the feet on the mat, knees bent, maybe lean the knees towards each other, a pyramid pose, that's an option as well. So any easy pose for the legs, for the hips, for the whole pelvic area. And if it helps you, you could bring hands on top of the pelvis. Not pushing down, but just bringing that attention down towards the hips. it might give some extra weight, attention, awareness for the hips. And then check in with your breath. Bring your awareness back to that gentle inner flow of your in breaths and out breaths. Let them freely flow in and out. Softening tensions there might be, especially around the hips. I'll suggest to continue this resting pose as long as feels right for you today. So no rush to come up or out. I'll slowly bring myself up into a seat. Let yourself stay in your resting pose. If you feel that you need to add extra poses to your practice before you feel that your hips are ready for good night's sleep, then feel free to also add your own poses, your own movements before closing your practice. It might be that you just take a bit longer in your Shavasana pose. I'm going to leave you with your practice here, and I thank you very much for joining in. I hope your hips have found a bit of ease, a bit of release with this sequence. Thank you very much for joining in, and I wish you a restful night when it arrives. And I hope to see you next time with the next video. Namaste. Thank you.